people say don't cut down the rainforest. This is one example of why not, because taxates were discovered in the Pacific Northwest huge tree, and those tackles is a kind of a synthetic derivative from that initial discovery, and it's used in many cancers, including prostate cancer, and its mechanism of action is thought to inhibit microtubules from forming and disassembling in intracellular pathways. So it's thought that if this was interfered with, that you can't have mitosis, that cancer grows. But actually, there's newer data that suggests that taxates, they actually inhibit the androgen receptor mechanism by which you can travel from the cell membrane to the nucleus. So think of those microtubules in that context as like a railroad track, and those tackles kind of prevent that forming. It's interesting because you remind a little bit that prostate cancer really comes down to the androgen receptor always, and it does explain why the only chemotherapies that work for prostate cancer are taxates. It's strange that it's still approved, but based on data, so it's an interesting science background there. So this was a study done actually around here, early part of the 2000s, where they took two different schedules of docetaxel and compared it to mitoxantrone and prednisone. So mitoxantrone is not a mice model I showed earlier, but it is FDA approved for palliation, very commonly used now. It was approved in the 90s, it didn't improve survival, but it improved symptoms for patients with advanced prostate cancer. And so that was a relevant comparison at the time. As a side note, prednisone may limit some of the toxicity of docetaxel, but that wasn't why it was included in this regimen. It was included in this regimen basically because mitoxantrone is used for prednisone. So it's really hard to affect the clinical trial design to some degree, although a lot of people do think it minimizes toxicity and maybe has a therapeutic effect in addition. But interestingly, prednisone is included in mitoxantrone because when they did those phase 3 trials, they did mitoxantrone and prednisone versus prednisone alone. And they said, well, let's just put the prednisone in with the mitoxantrone. So it's really interesting that prednisone is always armed because it's really, again, hard effect of clinical trial design. So it's always good to understand how these trials came about. So you understand, as a clinician, if you're having side effects like hyperglycemia from the prednisone, do I feel comfortable removing it? I actually would because of kind of the rationale that I just explained to you. So this is the data from CAST 327, which demonstrated that chemotherapy improves survival. So you basically show the green line here, docetaxel with 90% versus 6.5 mitoxantrone prednisone, and basically, based on this was a statistically significant improvement in survival. Really the first time anything showed improvement in survival in prostate cancer, so it was FDA approval. And it was preferred over the weekly, as you can see as well. So two things to look at this. Remember, this was done a decade before the abiraterone and enzalutamide trials. That's why those are 30 months, because those patients had the opportunity to get docetaxel and the abiraterone and the enzalutamide. So that shows actually the 30 months there shows the progress over the decade. This was 2004. But the other thing that I think you should look at is patients who were from time to time, okay, am I really going to get chemotherapy for only living 2.5 months longer? All right, so anybody want to guess why I would say that's not an accurate interpretation of this data? Okay, we talked about this earlier, but in this study, there was a crossover allowed. So patients got mitoxantrone, they were allowed to cross over and get docetaxel at the time of progression. And the study with mitoxantrone at this time frame suggested that the survival in that group would be about 10 months. So they actually did much better than were expected. And again, it's probably because of crossover effect where patients who progressed on mitoxantrone were able to get a therapeutic benefit from docetaxel. So I'm actually looking at support groups and things, and oftentimes patients will tell me, I'm not going to get chemotherapy, but I'll take me 2.5 months longer. And it takes some explaining, but they usually understand after we talk about it that this is again not really a 2.5 month improvement. You're actually seeing the mitoxantrone probably benefited because a lot of the time to get the chemotherapy. So this is the other thing I just mentioned earlier, crossover effect. You're actually seeing an underestimate of the survival advantage of docetaxel study. And it's important as a clinician to know about this because you do have people who see this data and say, it's not worth it for me to get chemo for 2.5 months, but I actually think chemotherapy is a very important treatment in this disease state. Any questions on that? Okay. So this is chemotherapy. So I think the side effects screen will get a little bit denser. I don't expect you to, again, read everything, although I think some of you in the room have a printout. But the biggest side effect you really have is neutropenia, which is going to be the neutropenia infections and death. And that's really the biggest thing you're educating patients about, along with neuropathy. So you get peripheral neuropathy, which usually starts off as numbness in the fingers and the toes, and if left unchecked, you can really it can be permanent. So if you develop the patients who stop the chemotherapy early onset, it's likely to reverse itself within a year. But if you just keep treating them, there's a chance that they might not be able to hold their cup of walk because they just lose feeling in their fingers and toes. So those are really the side effects you got to be most aware of and educate the patients about. Other things on this list as well, very typical chemotherapy. This doesn't have a lot of nausea, which is good. So it's very easily contained with a simple antibiotic medication. So that's good for them. That's typical side effects. So again, I kind of mentioned who should get this disease. So that's patients who either the other treatments, the abiraterone and enzalutamide are longer effective, or they have a lot of symptoms. And so if they have a lot of symptoms, kind of you look at a risk-reward. The reward is that yes, this has a lot of side effects. It takes some people with a lot of symptoms, and you're hoping to minimize some of those symptoms by giving them chemotherapy. So the side effect page again reminds me that if I have an asymptomatic patient with kind of marginally slow growing tumor, I'm not inclined to give the chemotherapy right away unless they had abiraterone or enzalutamide. So again, that's kind of why this slide's up here. So what else can we do for our patients with moderate to substantial symptoms? And I think radium-223 is a good option. It highlights the diversity of therapeutic options for prostate cancer. So this is for patients who have symptomatic bone disease, and the study was done without visceral disease, although I think whether that needs to be carried out in clinical practice or not, if they're getting it with other agents. So we still don't know the perfect population for this agent. And to be honest, clinicians don't know precisely how to use this because older radiopharmaceuticals like samarium and strontium in prostate cancer were FDA approved for palliation, but didn't show survival advantage. So they were usually reserved for late-stage patients who already probably had chemotherapy but had a lot of bone pain. I think that's kind of where a lot of clinicians use radium-223, but maybe it's not the right spot. We probably need some more data on that. So what is a radiopharmaceutical or radium-223? So it's basically a chelated agent that basically is radioactive and fires off alpha particles. This is an improvement over samarium and strontium, which fires off beta particles. Now, I'm not really a physicist by any stretch, but you need to know that alpha particles are bigger and heavier, so they travel a shorter distance, which means that you're going to have less bone marrow toxicity, where you have the radiation kind of destroying progenitor hemolytic cells, or red blood cells, or white blood cells, or platelets. For the older radiopharmaceuticals, the beta particles that shot off at much greater distances, you saw a lot more heme toxicity, and that was really a treatment-limiting aspect of that agent. But with this, it's much less reduced. And so this probably does open it up for a better population of patients. And obviously, it's an area of high bone turnover in the bones, which is likely to be present. There's cancer cells there, and it helps us over cancer cells. So this was a study again done in that 2010 to 2011 area where just chemotherapy was approved, and it was radium-223 versus placebo, and this was the results of the study. A little bit like Triple T, which I mentioned earlier, there was no short-term progression, and we don't expect TSS to go down with this agent. So I think that also is another reason why I think clinicians have a hard time using this agent. When you package it with Triple T, you realize again that clinicians, I guess we're just not comfortable using agents that don't make ESA go down. I think they're still an obstacle, though that's really not probably shouldn't be our guiding light. But nonetheless, you see here that there's a clinical, I think, statistically significant and clinically meaningful improvement in survival. It's also important to note that this study was done with a lot of radiance given with older cancer receptor antagonists like the bicalutamide. And lutamide and abiraterone were not approved at that time. So it was given in combination with those agents. And then I don't have it in this talk, but there's also now a post-marketing study where abiraterone and lutamide can be given safely with radium. And so I think that presents an opportunity to use this with those agents in patients that give more stuff. Because as a reminder, the radiopharmaceutical is binding to areas of high bone tumor, so turnover is probably not going to impact patients who have some common disease or cells in organs. But maybe if you can use it with abiraterone or enzalutamide, where you can see lymph nodes shrink or visceral lesions shrink, you get the benefit of both. And we don't have clinical data that says it's definitively better, but there is safety data that was published, I think, a little over a year ago. So the subgroups, the other thing that's different about this study, and again, you really can't compare the survival across different studies, this was a kind of a heterogeneous population of patients who already had chemo, and those who did not. And what we see is that the overall survival benefit is present regardless of whether they had chemotherapy. So these patients got this a little earlier, and lived a little longer, they were more likely to benefit. It wasn't as clear that patients were going to have a palliative benefit post-chemotherapy. So I think a little bit perhaps that it was smaller than the number of patients, but I think also the fact that it's a super population. But you get that in the earlier population, you see that there was a benefit in terms of palliation as well as survival. So I think it's reasonable to both radiation degree regardless of whether they had chemotherapy. And the side effects here, while it doesn't have as profound side effects, it does impact the bone marrow. You have to be aware of it. Grade 3 and 4, which kind of moderate to severe side effects for low blood counts, actually much less than sort of older radiopharmaceuticals that data. But the radiation going to have a role probably more symptomatic patients. And that's, again, that second course. So what do you do if you already have your second course, your docetaxel, and or the radium, and you're not having benefit? The third course here, and really you're kind of left with two options. One is nab-paclitaxel, which is another second-line chemotherapy for prostate cancer. And again, developed around 2010, 2011 timeframe. So what is the nab-paclitaxel? And I'm also not an organic chemist, but it differs from docetaxel really just by a couple of microscopies. So it's not that much different, but it did have a clinical impact. It also has, I guess, some less affinity for a pump that actually could be a mechanism of resistance to develop this glycoprotein pump that can develop in patients with docetaxel and perhaps limit its efficacy. But other than that, it's very similar. And so what they did in this trial was some patients who already had chemotherapy and had progressive disease, and again, randomized them to either that mitoxantrone prednisone regimen or nab-paclitaxel. And we said prednisone is here because it's part of this regimen. And this was surprising when it came out. This had a modest progression advantage of 2.8 versus 1.4 months, but the survival advantage was about 2 or 3 months. And again, publicly statistically significant. And actually, this was approved before abiraterone or enzalutamide, so we didn't really have a lot of good options at that time. And you see that it was surprising to a lot of people, myself included, that patients who had docetaxel would then benefit from another taxane. So I think perhaps it goes back to that mechanism of action that we talked about, that maybe unique taxanes by attacking the AR translocation. So what about? So this was FDA approval for patients who already had docetaxel. What about patients who hadn't had docetaxel? So that study was done actually completed last year, and what they found was that this was not superior to docetaxel for patients who were chemotherapy naive. So the frontline therapeutic option really still remains docetaxel. It's probably a little bit cheaper, probably a little bit better tolerated, or at least medical clinicians are more comfortable with it. But there's really not data to use for nab-paclitaxel up front. But I think this was a legitimate question to ask. We also saw that dosing wasn't different. So in this study, the actual was 25 milligrams. There were a lot of dose reduction for myelosuppression, so they figured out that 20 milligrams was just as good. So for toxicity, this was an international trial where growth factor was not regularly used, and whether or not it was because these patients were heavily pre-treated with chemotherapy before or not, it's just highlighted on the whole. The side effects are highlighted here. Yeah, the fact that 82% of patients had substantial drops in their white blood counts looking at risk for infection. And I think it was like a 5% or so infection-related death in the study. It was very concerning, and I think limited ultimately the use of nab-paclitaxel to some degree, especially when the other cases came along. So I do think it has a role. Like I said, if you had all the other options on the menu, I do think it has a role, but I would strongly consider using a growth factor. So, remember, I've already shown you this data, and so with my abiraterone and radium-223, all had survival advantage data in patients who had docetaxel. So if you get to the third course, and you haven't sampled these things from the menu yet, remember third course is kind of docetaxel refractory, then you can still use those treatments in this setting. Okay? The one other thing I'll say is that, and one thing that again I think we need more data on, but I think you can get it safely. I mentioned here that you can probably only use abiraterone and enzalutamide up front. In terms of using one or the other, but probably not getting therapeutic benefit out of both. So what I'll also do is use enzalutamide, because I think the side effect profile is a little better, and if there's no seizure or stroke risk, or I guess seizure risk is what it is, that's a stroke mycology. But and then if they progress on that, and they have moderate symptoms, I'm more inclined to go with docetaxel, so you're going to get more radium. But if they get to a point where they had docetaxel and they had enzalutamide, when I come here, I'm finding actually combine radium-223 with the abiraterone, because as I mentioned, there's some safety data, and then potentially they can maybe get benefit from both therapies. So, and also maybe as a way of circumvent some of that overlapping mechanism of resistance data I showed. But I think we need clear data to really recommend that, but it's just something that I think is not uncommon, or commonly done. I heard it's done. I think, and the part of the reason why we can do that is we do have clear safety data in combination. The other thing I didn't mention, but I probably should have, was you may be wondering, well, there's AR-resistant overlapping mechanisms when you have abiraterone and enzalutamide. How does that impact your response to docetaxel? It doesn't seem so. It doesn't appear that the resistance mechanism in all patients that develop abiraterone and enzalutamide limit the efficacy of docetaxel. So that's why kind of logical next step. So I think the ultimate goal as clinicians to these patients in clinic is to move to a development strategy with the patient and kind of maximize their ability to sample from different items on the menu and maximize their quality. And by doing that, I mean kind of minimize toxicity, but also use it when appropriate. So you kind of roll the whole menu thing. I think it kind of spells out how why we have to go through this. And again, there's no clear flow chart, but I think that when you start weighing the benefits versus the toxicity, it does become a little bit clear what the options are for the patients. So we can kind of move a little bit to the future by looking at the specials on our menu here today, which has to do with market addition. So this is actually which is breakthrough status in the FDA, and there's several large phase 3 trials going on to prove its efficacy. But I mentioned this earlier that roughly a third of patients have mutations in their tumor of DNA damage repair pathways, and as you know, PARP inhibition actually can do synthetically validated cancer cells that have deficient mechanisms of DNA damage repair. So a lot of these findings for this comes from a very small study. There's 15 patients that treated with a PARP inhibitor, and 14 of the 15 patients who responded And all 14 of the patients with, which again, was the third, but all 14 of the patients with the DNA damage repair pathway mutations respond to this therapy. And so based on that, there's a lot of precedent expected that this probably will get breakthrough or official approval status once we get more data, but it doesn't have breakthrough status now. And again, like I said, it's because roughly a third of the patients have mutations in the DNA damage repair pathways. So before I want to continue this a little bit, so I've been talking the whole time about metastatic castration-resistant prostate cancer, and I want to highlight the newer data actually with therapeutics that actually come in a whole different disease state. And it's different by one word, but it's a significant difference. What I'm talking about now is metastatic castration-sensitive prostate cancer. So let me fast forward slide here. And I might be talking about data from Charter 35.3 and 3805. So the disease space I'm talking about isn't this space that's castration-resistant metastatic. It's actually the space that's here where patients have castration-sensitive disease, but they're actually metastatic. Okay, so this is not a way to use chemotherapy earlier necessarily, but it's actually a population of patients who either walk into the doctor's office and didn't know they had prostate cancer and find out they do, and because it's metastatic, they're not eligible for curative surgery or radiation. So it's metastatic, they haven't had hormone suppression yet, so it's castration-sensitive, and that's the population I'm talking about. The other population, the other portion of the population, is a group of patients who may have had radiation or surgery, they were in follow-up, and for some reason or another, they go from perhaps thinking they were cured to, because of the biology of the disease, or maybe they weren't seen for a couple years, they show up with metastatic disease. So fundamentally, these are patients who don't have testosterone suppressed levels of their androgens, but do have metastatic disease. Does this distinction make sense? This is as opposed to the bulk of patients who are metastatic, who become metastatic when the testosterone is suppressed because of that therapy being used kind of early on. So does that make sense? That everybody clear on that? So these are basically relatively newly diagnosed metastatic disease, where the androgen suppression is likely to have a therapeutic impact. And so for years, that was our standard, just giving patients hormone suppression. And a study was done actually, I think around 2005, 2007, where they said, let's use chemotherapy because we know works in advanced disease, but that is earlier on to this subset of patients, which is probably about 10 to 20% of patients. So it's not the bulk of the patients. And so survival data came out on this back in 2014, published in 2013, and so actually pretty pronounced survival there. Patients who got chemotherapy with ADT alone was about 13 and a half months longer, and for this reason, for these patients now, we give them 6 cycles of docetaxel, which is what they did in this trial. So this doesn't mean that this doesn't quite override what I told you earlier about using abiraterone and glutamine upfront. It's a different population. I can't emphasize that enough. I don't. It's kind of really miss the point here a little bit. So now it's good because we have a way to substantially improve the survival time of patients with this disease, or this stage of disease. And again, that's kind of the population, but it's not an earlier indication of docetaxel here. It's more like in this state here. Okay. But there was data from the summer that actually showed that abiraterone, remember the abiraterone anti-androgen agent, is approved for metastatic castration-resistant survival. When that got approved in 2013 or so, they launched this study where they basically asked the same question, which was, can we improve on androgen suppression in the same population? We didn't know the chemo result this time, but it was a good question to ask. It's still a good question to ask. And the end result of the study was that if you gave abiraterone in this population, this was just presented this year at ASCO, you had a 38% risk reduction in death and a substantial improvement in survival. So now for patients who have metastatic castration-sensitive prostate cancer, we have data that says that docetaxel and abiraterone both improve survival. So that's the other problem that we have with metastatic castration-resistant disease, which we use. There's no data that really shows this. At a national international meeting in Europe just this past September, the group from London who has run a series of trials called Stampede actually had temporarily at the same time with patients with abiraterone to docetaxel, and the preliminary data suggested the survivals were roughly equivalent. So people thought they both work, and just like with metastatic castration-resistant disease, you don't really know which one to use. So I think the one thing that I would say, my advice is again, talk to the patient, figure out what you guys use. We talked about the toxicity from abiraterone and abiraterone. If you get abiraterone, you're going to be on this for a few years until you progress. That comes with prednisone. But if you can get away with chemotherapy for 6 infusions, you may not need another therapy for a little while thereafter beyond the hormone suppression. So it's kind of, some people are like, well, this is great, why would I get chemo when I can get a pill? But the other part of the equation is, if you can get away with 6 infusions of a well-tolerated chemotherapy and avoid some of these side effects and keep the tumor in check, is that a better way to go? We don't have the answer. The other part of this equation is, does prolonged exposure to abiraterone bring a more resistant tumor down the road? I think that's the whole question that people are asking. So it's just one question. So maybe you have more data than that. Some people ask that question. More people with data, so we'll have next year. But there are a lot of treatments for prostate cancer. I think it's very remarkable to have been working in this field. It's the oldest evolved. But then you only had docetaxel on in 2010. And it's great for patients that we always other options. There are studies going on looking at combining a lot of them, like abiraterone and glutamine.